Justice Minister to restrict use of police cautions under a proposed law change. The GSD claims there are no visible signs of development on the road to the lines. A crane tears through a section of the airport underpass. And Gibraltar takes on the British Virgin Islands down at Europa Point Stadium. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The jury has heard a police interview from the first complainant in a sexual abuse trial in the Supreme Court. Referred to as Mr. A, he described what he said were repeated sexual encounters with his then teacher and scout leader, Clayton Busto, during his teenage years. 43-year-old Mr. Busto is charged with 19 counts of sexual offences against children said to have taken place between 2007 and 2016. He denies all charges.
During his police interview, Mr. A said the defendant repeatedly used the phrase "everyone does it" and would tell him to come round to de-stress during his exams. Speaking about the alleged abuse, Mr. A said he remembers the first time it happened because it was his first sexual experience. He added other incidents also stood out because they happened around specific events, including a ski trip and National Day. The complainant said he felt exploited at an age when he was exploring his sexuality. In a second police interview conducted in the UK, Mr. A said the end of his contact with Mr. Busto marked a very dark time in his life. He described the defendant as being intrinsically involved in his life and said the final 2 years felt like Groundhog Day, something that had become normal and part of a routine. 43-year-old Clayton Busto faces 19 counts of sexual offences against children dating from 2007 to 2016. He denies all charges.
Minister for Justice Nigel Feetham has given notice of an amendment to the Prison Bill 2026 which would update the Criminal Procedure and Evidence Act. Under the proposed change, where an adult admits to a specified offence, police would not be able to issue a caution unless there are exceptional circumstances and unless the Director of Public Prosecutions gives consent. A senior police officer could argue exceptional circumstances.
Justice Minister Nigel Feetham says the amendment is intended to strengthen safeguards around the use of cautions in serious cases, particularly sexual offences. He says it would ensure cautions are used only in truly exceptional circumstances, while allowing victims' views to be taken into account. He also says the change would preserve the operational independence of the Royal Gibraltar Police and prosecuting authorities, with decisions remaining a matter for law enforcement and the DPP, rather than ministers. The issue has come under focus following questions about cautions issued in relation to sexual offences. The Royal Gibraltar Police says sexual offences cover a wide spectrum of offending, involving both adult and child victims. It says formal cautions are one of a number of discretionary out-of-court outcomes available to police. It says cautions for sexual offences can be issued in exceptional circumstances, although they're rare in practice. It adds that since its current records management system was created in 2017, only one such caution has been issued and recorded. The RGP has clarified the only recorded instance of a formal police caution for a sexual offence relates to 3 offences which occurred between March and June 2022. They were reported in July 2022 and resulted in a formal police caution in July 2024. The offences were linked to Charles Montegrifo, who was sentenced to 14 years. In the sentencing pronouncement, the court referred to 3 cautions, 2 for sexual assaults and 1 for sexual activity with a child under the age of 16. The RGP says the issuing of the cautions involved direct engagement with both the Director of Public Prosecutions and the victim's family. Christian Roca says the issuing of a caution is currently a matter for the RGP. He says his office may be asked for its views and those views may be considered, but that there's no requirement for police to seek approval from the Office of Criminal Prosecutions and Litigation. He also says the OCPL has no authority to review a caution once given or to issue one itself. Mr. Roca adds factors such as the seriousness of the alleged offence, previous offending history, the public interest, and the views of the victim or family may be considered. But he says cautions for serious sexual offences would be very exceptional and certainly not the norm, as most sexual offending is serious and generally in the public interest to prosecute. The proposed amendment would therefore change the current position by making DPP consent a legal requirement for specified offences. For the Minister, the change is about strengthening public confidence in how serious cases are handled, keeping the flexibility for truly exceptional circumstances, but placing tighter safeguards around decisions made outside court.
The GSD says the Road to the Lines site shows no visible signs of development despite commitments to create new housing there. The opposition notes that regenerating the area was a manifesto pledge at the last election, with the government promising to continue the project to deliver additional homes. The party also points to links made in the GSLP Liberal manifesto between the Road to the Lines regeneration project and plans for artists' studios near the old prison and northern defences. Shadow Minister Damon Bossino says responsibility for the project appears to have shifted between several ministers over recent years without any tangible results.
We're asking the government to update us as to what's going on with Road to the Lines. This is a project which is looking like a really hot potato. It's been passed on from minister to minister. We've had it passed on from the Deputy Chief Minister to Pat Orfila as Minister for Housing, and now over the last few years to Sir Joe Bossano as the Minister for Economic Development. But all they have done, despite their electoral promise to create more housing in the area, all they have done is cleaned up the area, and there's been no movement. Housing is a very is way up there in terms of the social needs of our people. People are continuously coming to us in relation to housing issues. And when you get a promise from a government, which was elected 2.5 years ago, that they were going to build more houses, then people clearly want to know what is going on with Road to the Lines. And all we seem to have had is a clear up and a refurbishment of only one property in the area, and nothing much more than that. So we need the government to provide answers as to what is going to happen with Road to the Lines, or is this going to be yet another breach of yet another electoral promise?
Have you had any feedback from residents of the area?
We have had feedback and proposals on people coming to us in relation to what is happening with housing, because they are in desperate need of housing. And you have a government who said that they were going to build more houses in the area. And quite rightly, they come to the opposition saying what's going to be happening to this particular project. So in the area, no, but certainly from people outside of the area who are in need of housing do come to us and are asking us to put pressure on the government to find out what is going to happen in this area.
It is quite an inaccessible area. Do you think that has something to do with the level of interest in it?
Well, I don't know what it is, but the reality is that it's been passed from government department to government department. It's a promise which they made to the people of Gibraltar, on which they were elected now almost 3 years ago, and they are not delivering. We've got one more year to go to the next general election. And the government needs to come clean with the people of Gibraltar as to what is happening with Road to the Lines.
A crane has torn through a section of the airport's underpass. In response to GBC questions, the government described the damage as superficial and said the building's structure has not been affected. The airport remains fully operational and works are ongoing to make sure the area is safe. The RGP was at the scene and the incident is currently under investigation. The Department of the Environment is reminding boat and jet ski users to keep a safe distance from marine wildlife. It highlights that this time of year sees fin whales making their annual migration from the Mediterranean out into the Atlantic.
The Department of the Environment says Gibraltar is an important migratory corridor, not just for whales, but for a variety of marine wildlife such as turtles, sunfish, sharks and seabirds. It reminds boat and jet ski users to observe the cetacean protocol in how they behave around whales and dolphins. It means you should not cut across their path or navigate towards or near to them. You should keep a distance of 300 metres if there are adults with young animals. And within a 500-metre radius, you shouldn't travel at more than 4 knots or faster than the slowest animal in the group. You should never get closer than 60 metres except in an emergency. If whales or dolphins approach or appear within 60 metres of a boat or jet ski, the engine should be placed in neutral or stopped. The department says the Environmental Protection and Research Unit will be closely monitoring activity at sea and says any breaches of the Cetacean Protocol or the Nature Protection Act will be investigated and could result in legal proceedings. It says you should call the unit on 5800 9620 if any animals are being disturbed or in distress.
You're watching GBC News. Still to come, 10 new speakers announced for this year's literary festival. Making money for Galway House while keeping fit. We hear from some fundraisers on a 70-day challenge. And we look ahead to tomorrow's friendly against the British Virgin Islands. Back in just a few minutes. Do stay with us. Welcome back. A 70-day challenge to raise money for Galway House is underway. Organisers Nicholas Bassano and Kyle Vanda have been running 7 kilometres daily. They're not alone though. They're joined by fellow runners and some walkers. And the two are hoping to raise a total of £4,000 for Gibraltar's Home from Home.
The latest Galway House challenge, which sees people running or walking 7 kilometres for 70 days, is over halfway through. Organisers Nicholas Bassano and Kyle Vanda kicked the challenge off in April with the aim to raise money for Gibraltar's Home from Home. We caught up with Nicholas and Kyle a few days after the halfway mark to see how everything was going.
So far so good. Day 40 today, another milestone. We keep counting the days, and we were talking about it earlier. No injuries, touch wood, keeping the spirits high and with a smile on our faces.
And what kind of support have you had from the local community so far?
More than what we expected, to be honest, because obviously we signed up for this, just us two, and we've had people actually doing every single day up to now. People coming on odd occasions, which is fine. We embrace the support. And also we've been joining other charities and joining the other club activities. So we're quite overwhelmed with the support we've received so far.
And you say you haven't had any injuries so far. Were there any challenges? Were you perhaps thinking at some point, it's not going to work, we're not going to be able to do the 70 days?
I don't think it's got to that point yet. Hopefully it won't. Mentally, it has been tough on a few days, especially those days where we run in the evenings and then have morning sessions as well the day after. But I mean, we were just pushing through, and as Nick mentions, without the support, I don't think we would have got to this point.
Yeah. And talking about support, money-wise, the money's going up. How's it going so far?
We've received about £2,500, maybe a bit more, by selling some of the T-shirts as well. So yes, we're doing quite well. We're aiming for the 4,000 and possibly even more if we can.
What do you think then that the next half of the challenge will bring? Anything that you can tell us that's going to happen? Anything new that you're going to bring to the challenge?
We've got a few surprises. We won't disclose it just yet. We'll keep the mystery a bit longer. And we've got something also to give back to those who have participated in some way or another. So we'll announce that shortly.
Fiction, art, politics and mental health are among the subjects to be explored at this year's Literary Festival. A new round of speakers has been confirmed for the event now by Cultural Services.
Among the 10 new speakers announced are 4 novelists, including Sunday Times best-selling author Adele Parks, who recently released her latest thriller, Our Beautiful Mess. 2 other writers of psychological thrillers are also in the lineup: Callie Kazumi, author of Claire Darling and Greedy, and debut novelist Sean Gilbert with I'll Be the Monster. Meanwhile, Eliza Clark was among Granta's 2023 Best of Young British Novelists, known for her novels Boy Parts and Penance, as well as her short story collection She's Always Hungry. In non-fiction, returning to the festival is the former head of the British Diplomatic Service, Lord Peter Ricketts. He'll be speaking about his new book, Peacemakers: Shaping the Modern World. Art historian Nicola Moorby will talk about her book on 2 titans of British landscape art, Turner and Constable. War in the Smartphone Age is the subject of academic Dr. Matthew Ford's talk, based on his book about conflict as seen through modern technology. Recipient of the Hay Festival International Fellowship, Jay Griffiths will talk about the link between nature and well-being, how animals heal us. Mental health and the pressures on boys and men will be tackled by George Bell, author of Be a Man About It, Building a Healthier Idea of Masculinity. And Andy Baker, author of The Adaptive Caregiver Model, will speak about how to support people living with dementia.
I think it's another great lineup in terms of authors which already make it to 24 authors that we've already announced, and we look forward as well to announcing another set of 14 authors, maybe 15. We're working on different things which will be good for Gibraltar PLC. We've got many major names in that lineup. For example, we've got Adele Parks MBE, who has sold over 6 million copies of her books, notwithstanding that her work has already been translated into 31 languages. We've also got a very popular in Sky News author Lord Peter Ricketts. We're doing work on animals and health. We're doing other areas of well-being as well. We're also working with GADS in author Andy Baker, who's doing a special talk on dementia, and also promoting the work which is done by the local charity. So I think there is with the 24 authors that have already been announced, including the 10 of today, I think there is a great program to look forward to.
The Minister for Culture and Tourism, Christian Santos, said the lineup adds a diverse range of subjects and genres, adding he and the festival team are confident this year's event will once again delight, inform and entertain. The festival will be held from the 9th to the 15th of November.
Over to football now, and we have a quick look ahead to tomorrow evening's international friendly against the British Virgin Islands down at Europa Point Stadium. Scott Wiseman has spoken for the first time since signing a permanent 4-year contract as the men's national team head coach, but tomorrow's clash isn't just the start of Wiseman's official tenure, it's also the end of an era. This swan song for Gibraltar talisman Lee Casiado, who's set to put on the national shirt for the very last time. The pair spoke to us looking ahead to tomorrow's big match.
It's been a massive privilege. It really has. It's an honour, and the biggest honour of my career, to be perfectly honest with you. For me, we've always prepared like we was going to be here for the long term. Myself, the staff, we spoke to the players like we was going to be here for the long term as well, albeit we always knew that it was interim and it could be short term. But we knew the direction that we wanted the association to go regards how we wanted to play, the profile of players we wanted to play. So for us, it was a case of whether we was here long term or we were setting the foundations for the next person coming in. We was always going to do it the same way.
On to tomorrow's game now, the British Virgin Islands. It hasn't been a good year for Gibraltar result-wise. We haven't won a game in over a year, should I say. This is just a friendly on paper, but considering how visibly disappointed you were after we lost to New Caledonia, how important is it to get a result tomorrow and a bit of a confidence boost?
We want to win at the end of the day. We know where we are. Obviously, we're going to be giving more debuts again tomorrow through injuries, through some deserving as well. So it's an opportunity for us to try new people. Obviously, we'll see Lee off, but just because we're seeing Lee off doesn't mean it's any less of a game or any different a game we want to win. The New Caledonia game was my biggest letdown as a coach from me, and I think we upset ourselves and let ourselves down in that. The players agree, and it's something that we can really learn from in regards our preparation mentally as well as physically for these types of games.
Lee, you've given us decades of international football. When did you know Wednesday would be the right time to call it a day?
It's like you said, it's many years of playing internationally and locally, and you get into an age where I'm not getting any younger, and obviously Scott and Roy called me up to make me this game we have tomorrow. But like I said, for me it's a game where I want to perform, the team wants to perform, and realistically we want the first win, especially for Scott, Roy and all the backroom staff that have done a lot for this team at the moment. So for us, my game tomorrow is completely different. It's not like any other game. It's just a game where we've got to concentrate tactically what Scott's been teaching us this week, and the game we have to do, prepare as best as we can.
Tomorrow could be an emotional one. Are you ready for all the feelings that might come flooding in?
Depends on how the score goes. For example, I just can't say, because I'm not going to look at it as if it's my last game. Realistically, I want to win the game. I don't want to get a standing ovation and we're losing 3-0. That for me is just pointless. For me, The game is what represents what I need to do on the game, what the manager expects from me. Then whatever happens will happen. But realistically, the most important part of the game for tomorrow is the result. On obviously how we play, but realistically is a result. Then if I get a standing ovation or I don't mind. For example, like I said, the game is the most important part for tomorrow's game, and that's it.
That match kicks off at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. Coverage begins live on GBC as from 6:30. And that's all from the news team for this evening. Don't forget, you can, as always, catch up on our website and across our social media pages. We leave you now with the sound of some of Saturday's live music from the Spring Festival entertainment around town. Enjoy your evening. Good night.